Okay, hi
Embark on
everyone. Thanks for coming for the info. And I'm the
embark on
chair of Seizing Wonder Challenge. I'm very happy to have this privilege to spend this time with you and explain how this challenge works. So I'm just jump right into this topic and talk about why we are hosting this. So as you can see from the previous slide, that this challenge has been advised by Harvard Project Zero's principal investigator, Dr. Flossie Chua, although that she won't be able to join us today, but I would like to send her greeting to everyone. We have been designing this challenge since 2020, and this has been the fourth time that we're going to put through this challenge. So a quick background about me. So I was grow up in Taiwan. I go to Taipei First Girl High School, National Taiwan University, major in finance. And then I joined BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, as management consultant for several years. And the company sponsored me to study at MIT for the MBA. That's the time I got to know Harvard Graduate School of Education and how they have been cultivating the thinking skills for all the students. They've been very passionate about how we can unlock students' potential. So thinking routine has been one of the ways that they have stimulate students' curiosity and really encourage the student to think further. Then that is why I got to connect it with Dr. Flossie Chua back then. And I have this idea about whether we can bring this back to Asia and really help more students to feel confident they will be able to be a critical thinker. And at the same time, I started my startup as Twin Oaks Education while I'm in MIT. Um, and I've been doing this for almost 8 years right now. And then our goal is to really help the student to become a global citizen who knows how to think and act. And just some quick background about me and Flossie Chua. So I think we started this conversation 5 years ago. I've been just chatting with her. Like we know Project Zero have a lot of very nice thinking routines. Those are all free resources online. However, it doesn't seem that a lot of the Asian students or teacher knows these resources. And is it possible that we can turn this into a very fun challenge that the student would just happen to learn all those thinking routine while they are taking through this challenge. And that's how we get started. And we started to design this as a very gamified method, but gradually we want the student to really pick up the observation skills, which is usually the foundation of all the thinkings. Um, so that's how we got started. And about a few words about Twin Oaks, we really believe that learning is multidisciplinary. And to learn how to think is really important because thinking is the foundation for every decision that you make in life. And you also need a lot of thinking to think through who you are, where you want to be, and what kind of action to take to fulfill your uh, beautiful life. And that's why we think it's really important to empower students to become a good thinker. So now we want to talk a little bit about what See Think Wonder is. Although it seems to be super obvious, but See Think Wonder is a thinking routine that's been developed by Harvard Project Zero. And they have over 50 years of experience studying all kinds of students. They notice a couple of students are just very good at thinking. They have a lot of creativity. And they try to understand what are the steps in their head so that more students who want to cultivate their own thinking skill can try to use those steps to cultivate their own skill set. So then they find out those students who have a very sensitive thinking and creativity skills, they are usually pretty good at observing. They capture a lot of detail and nuances when they see things. So See, Think, Wonder is their very first thinking routine that Project Zero has developed. They want the student to really look closely and look slowly, capture everything they can from what they see, and then start to think about or interpret what they think, what they see. For example, why does this thing involve this way? Is it because of XYZ? And that's what we mean by think. And for wonder, it's just go beyond the surface based on your observation and interpretation. What else do you think? Do you have any questions? Do you come up with any new ideas that you might be able to leverage what you think and you see into certain creation? That's what we mean by seizing wonder. So a lot of time, this could also serve as a foundation for creation. So we also just finished a workshop talking about design thinking. Seizing wonder happened to be a very good starting tour for a student who want to develop their design thinking skills. Because starting from observation, you will have a lot of very good material for your creation. It seems to be very vague, so I wanted to give everyone a chance to practice or experience it. Now you can see there's a small apple on the screen. I just want you to spend some time to try to jot down some of the observation that you see from the apple. You can put down all kinds of observation. For example, you can say, I see a green leaf on top of the apple. It seems to be a very fresh leaf. That is a good observation. So I just want you to write down as many observations as possible. It is a very critical step that we would like the student to practice and really excel, because the more that you see, the more you start to think. So I'm just going to leave everyone a few minutes to write down what you see from the picture. Again, I wanted to highlight a few important notice. So when we say what we see, a lot of time we'll mix our own experience or our hypothesis as observation. For example, I didn't see the back of the apple. So I wouldn't say I see there's a hole on the apple and there's a worm that's biting the apple. I wouldn't say that because I don't really see that from the picture and I can't just assume that happened. So to help the student to distinguish what they hypothesize versus what they see, we usually tell the student to point the picture with their fingers. Whatever you can point with your finger is what you can see. If you cannot point it out with your finger, it's not what you see. It's part of what you assume. So here, I just want to, everyone can spend a few minutes to write down what you see from the picture. And I want you to write as many as possible. I will share with you what I had in my mind. My answer will not be the perfect answer. You probably have more to say than I do, but just wanted to get everyone exercise a little bit. Okay. And this is a very good exercise you can do with yourself, or if you wanted to share this with your student, this is also something good to try and start. So here I'm going to just sharing a couple of observations that I have. So first of all, you can see that the shape is almost like a perfect sphere. You can see a very fresh leaf on top of the apple. And on top of the apple, you will see a stem that is pretty white on top and then narrow down in the bottom. And you can also see the cut end of that stem is a little bit brownish color. The apple has a very nice red skin with yellow lines and dots all around the surface. And you also see that the red color is pretty evenly distributed. It's not heavily red, heavily yellow. And on top of the part of the apple, you can see some light on the top right side. As you can see, probably there's some spotlight from here. And you can also see that there's some shadow right beneath the leaf. There are a couple of things that you can observe from this picture. And now let's do the seizing wonder process. So think is usually a process that you start to interpret what you see. So from what we see, that there are a couple of like traits of this apple. Seems to be a very nice, fresh apple. It seems to be a perfect, attractive apple that you can find from the store. Then we start to wonder, why does the photographer take a photo of like a photo, a apple like this? Why does he choose an apple like this? Is it for specific photo shooting for marketing, or is it for a movie production? So that they have to choose a very nice apple so it look nice. Like these are the wonder that you have, and that really start to spark the students create curiosity and creativity. That's where the creativity starts. So this is the process that it typically goes. And as you can see, the more details you see, the more interpretation and idea you will have. And that's exactly why we think thinking is definitely trainable. And you don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great, because we know every student, you know how to observe, you know how to see things. You just need more time. So that's why we keep on saying, look closely and look slowly. Okay, now we jump back to the challenge. So this year, the challenge will be separated into two independent challenge. One is called qualification challenge, and the other is called real case challenge. If you've been to our challenge last year, you will notice that this seems to be very similar to last year. What is the difference? So qualification challenge, once you finish it, the first round and the final round, you will get the certificate. And feel free to stop here. You are not required to join the real case challenge. You can just finish the qualification challenge, enjoy the process, learn what Seizing Wonder is, and that's it. It's all up to you. For the qualification challenge, there's a first round and the final round. The reason behind it is because for every student who firstly get in touch with Seizing Wonder, you don't really know how this works. So for the very first round, we will start with a very simple object like a vending machine, refrigerator, and kettle, like all that stuff. Like very simple object. And we also try to limit the information you can see so that you don't get overwhelmed. And then in the final round, you will see multiple objects. You might even see from different angle, you might see videos. There's a lot of information you have to observe. So that's a little bit overwhelming, but it's also closer to a reality. What we really hope the students get out of this is that you can use this Seizing Wonder challenge to face a real world problem set. So that's why we have this real case challenge. We invited five very, very, very big and very famous company, including Carrefour, including Family Mart, and KFC, Pizza Hut, and Buttermilk. They were all provided their problem set with our students that they will use their observation skill in the store or even back in the kitchen in the KFC. You'll be able to see the real world setting and start to think about what the solution is. In order to do a real case, you have to start step by step. That is why we have this qualification round for students to pick up the skills. And this is a very nice exercise. Even if you don't want to go to a real case challenge, you will pick up what Seizing Wonder is. So that's why we highly recommend students to join this session. A few nuance, as you can see that there's a date and you also say it's 1 to 2 hours. What does that mean? It means that our qualification rounds is all hosted online. We will open up online websites for all the students who want to join the challenge to do the observation online. And that website will be open for 2 full days, which will be 48 hours. And the student can just hop on and hop off that website anytime they want. To finish that challenge, it takes about 1 to 2 hours for the first round, and then take another 2 to 3 hours for the final round. But the student can hop on and hop off the website whenever they are available. For the real case challenge, the very first step, you will have to submit a written report, and then you will join a 3-day hackathon in Taipei. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about what qualification round might be. So for the first round, as usual, we usually will give you an object, two objects to observe. One is something from a century ago, when another thing is what you see today. So you compare what is the difference, what's the involvement for a certain product, and think about why does human being change the design of that? And what would be the new design for the next 100 years? And that's what the student would do for the first round. In the final round, the student will start to observe a certain venue in different countries. You will see the country difference, and you might also find some best practice from certain country. And you will think about whether it's a good idea to bring that best practice back to your destination. I'm not going to disclose where that is, but how would you think we might bring some good idea to another place? And that is a very nice opportunity for a student to see around the world as well through an online website. It's a very nice experience. For the student to pass this round, we'll explain a little bit more about the rubrics, how that works. It's not very hard as long as the student wanted to pass. It's almost very hard to fail. Then for the final round to go to the real case challenge, this is the only thing that's a little bit tricky. So if you want to go to the real case challenge, you will not be able to sign up for the real case challenge alone. You have to pass the qualification challenge before you can go to the real case challenge. For those students who are age 15 to 18, if you can rank top 225 out of all the participants, you will be able to join, you'll be invited to join the real case challenge. Okay, so what does the real case challenge look like? So after the qualification challenge, they will have about a month to write a written report. And this challenge will also be a team-based challenge. So although the students are joining the qualification challenge as individuals, we will form team for them, form a team of 3 to do the real case challenge. They will do this initial proposal and will submit it to all the corporates. They will select top 25 teams to join the hackathon. And this hackathon will be hosted in Taipei City, and it's now confirmed we will host it in National Taiwan University. So they will also get a chance to visit this very nice university. And at the place, we will ask the student to do some store visit or even build some prototype and test it and present their final idea to the judges. And that will be hosted in next April. So I just wanted to highlight the key dates here. Very important if the students or the teacher want to sign up for their students, please sign up before Christmas. We would like every sign up and every registration before December 24th. And then the first round will happen a few days after the Christmas. And the final round in January. The real case challenge will start in March and April. A few reminder, just wanted to highlight again that the qualification round is online and you will have 2 languages to choose from. You can choose either English or Chinese. There's a toggle button on top right of that website, so you can just click and switch to another language. But please just use one language to finish all the answers that you have, because we're just going to evaluate you in one language. And it might take 1 to 2 hours to complete. You can complete anytime when the website is open. And like I said, the website will be open after the midnight, and then you have 48 hours to finish everything. The evaluation is very simple for the first round because we highly recommend and encourage students to use this round as a practice round. You only get a pass or fail in this round. The more you observe, the better. I think that's the key things we are evaluating for this round. How do we assess whether this is something you observe? Like I said earlier, it should be something that you can point with your finger on the image that will count as something you can observe on the picture. And for the technical reminder, we highly recommend students use desktop or laptop. Do not really recommend you to use tablet or smartphone, not just because the screen is too small for a good observation, but also some technical issue might happen for you to submit the answer. So I just don't recommend people to use it on tablet or smartphone. You can prepare some papers or pen to draft your answer. You can also open another file, type your answer there, and submit it later. The link to that official site will be sent on December 27, which will be like one day ahead on at 6 p.m. It's up completely normal when you receive the email, but the link to that site is not open yet. It's because it will open in the midnight. And if you have any question, you can reach out to us. We will be pretty responsive between 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for that 2 days. For the final rounds, it will also have the Chinese and English version. You can toggle it between the websites anytime you want. It takes about 1 to 2 hours, or I would say maximum 3 hours to finish. And this time, this will be evaluating 4 dimensions. We'll explain in more details in the rubric section. And like I said earlier, you will have 48 hours to hop on the website. The website will be open after the midnight and then close up on Sunday midnight. All the students who is age 15 to 18 who can rank top 225 globally will be eligible to advance to the real case challenge. Which means if your students super young, they are elementary school or middle school, or they are university student, they are all welcome to join the qualification rounds. For both rounds, they will also get certificates. However, if they wanted to join the real case challenge, they have to be 15 to 18-year-old. Again, I would recommend you to use laptop and desktop computer to finish the challenge. Paper and pens are very good friends to you to keep notes. And like in the previous round, we will also send out an official email with the official sites at 6 p.m. the day before. Okay, now we talk a little bit about the real case challenge. So this challenge, unfortunately, it will have to be in Mandarin, in Chinese, because a lot of the corporate material will be in Chinese as well. So if your students don't feel very comfortable writing Chinese, but they feel very comfortable like speaking Chinese and partly like can read a little bit, I think that's good enough to join. And last year, we also have students from Singapore to join. So I also think this is a very good opportunity to have this international engagement. And for the hackathon, I mentioned earlier, this is a team-based. So we will form teams for the students. They will have to submit this written form in Chinese, which is also fine. I believe like some of the team member will be able to write it in Chinese. And then for the hackathon, the 3D hackathon is a in-person challenge in Taipei. So yeah, they have to be there in person. It's not possible to join virtually. And in terms of evaluation, we'll talk a little bit more about that in the rubric section. But basically, we will evaluate it based on your observation skill, like how comprehensive it is, how logical you are in making the interpretation, and whether you are a very critical thinker to evaluate your own thinking. And when you propose new idea, whether this is an evidence-based idea. That's like all how we've been evaluating the students. Okay, few reminders. If you have any question about the written report or the hackathon, feel free to send us an email. The only reminder for non-Taiwanese student is that this is something that's hosted in Taiwan. So the transportation and accommodation will be self-arranged. I'm hoping a lot of schools or school districts might have some sponsorship for international competition. So I'm hoping that you might be able to apply for some of the scholarship to join. Okay, now we'll talk a little bit about school teams. So for starting from this year, we really think that in order to cultivate a culture of thinking, it's very important that we start to partner with more schools. So we are now reaching out to all the schools that we know. to form a stronger relationship that we can pass down all this seizing wonder know-how to teachers so that you can start to use it in your school and even create a new classroom, etc. So we highly recommend like all the school who would like to get this relationship collaboration with us, feel free to reach out to us. You can register yourself online through this QR code. You can nominate a student to join the challenge. And also just let us know about your student list so that they don't have to sign up one by one. We can just do a group registration for all of them. And you can just point a teacher in charge to be the contact window. It won't take them a lot of time. It's just being a contact window to passing information to the students. And that's it. So the registration deadline is November 20th. You still have like 2 weeks to go. So if you are interested in registering your school, feel free to scan the QR code or contact us. You will also find very similar information on our website. So if you have a further question about this, feel free to reach out to us. We also have a booklet that have more information about this. Okay, we talk a little bit about the reward, although we don't like, I think in Harvard, we really want the student to just get excited because this is fun, not just for the reward, but this is a commonly asked question, so we will still answer to this. So if you finish the qualification challenge, you will get a certificate or a certificate of participation. I'll explain more about that later. Because based on your performance in the final round, you might get a golden certificate or silver certificate or bronze certificate. And if you don't get that 3 above, you will also get a participation certificate. And if you can join the Real Case Challenge, you will have the honor certificate, souvenirs, professional headshot that we will do in the real on-site hackathon. We will also have a lot of scholarship and free courses for you if you want the challenge. The corporate also provide a lot of gifts and souvenirs to you. So hopefully that will be something useful. Okay, now we talk a little bit about the group. So for the very first round, here's like sample about what we used to observe. So this is a toaster happened that you can see, you can find 100 years ago versus a toaster today. You can see there's a lot of differences. If they wanted to pass this first round, it's super simple. They just have to write down more than 3 observations. Quick notes that has to be something that you can point out by your finger on that image count as an observation. A lot of times the students still can't really clearly distinguish what they see versus what they assume they see. So I would highly recommend the student to write more than 3. Please do not just write 3. A lot of the students who didn't pass it is because they only wrote 3, and some of those do not qualify. So then they fail this round. Other than that, it's like super easy to pass. Just have to write more than 3, as many as possible, because I think for the very first round, our goal is to cultivate the habit to look slowly and look closely. So we highly recommend the student to write as many observations as possible. Then we will also encourage them to write a couple of interpretations based on their observation. For example, why do you think the designer changed the way the toaster looked like? Why do we change it? Why does a certain change occur? What do you think that's causing those changes? That would be some of the interpretation based on some of their observation and some of their past experience. So in think, it's a mix of experience, assumptions, and observation. But for C, we want them to really focus on fact-based. And here in this round, we don't really evaluate wonder. However, it's very important to have a very complete information in this round. So if you have a serial number as a designer code, that's how we call it. If you put a wrong code, and the running, we won't be able to identify who you are, because when we're trying to evaluate everyone, everything will be anonymous. So we don't know who this student is. We will only be able to identify you with your designer code. So that's why we just wanted to emphasize that please finish every blank. Do not leave any blank. Yeah. Okay. And in the final round, they will be do observation around the world. So that's another example of what we see in the past. They look at the student cafeteria in different countries around the world. And they are comparing what's the difference, what do you see as a best practice, and all that stuff. That's actually a very nice exercise for students to start to practice very comprehensive and sophisticated observation. As you can see, previously only see objects, but now they will start to see environment. There are more information. There are even some videos. So it's just more complicated. And for this round, we also have a more complicated rubrics. So for C, we want them to be a very good observer, which we interpret this as a comprehensive observation. So they have they know how to differentiate what are the facts, what are assumptions. So we want them to really see, be able to capture all the very factual information. And they also be able to see what is, they will pick up the importance of very significant information that's related to the topic or the question that we're asking them. For example, if we ask you, what is the, why do they design it this way when you're trying to, well, let me put it in a different way. If I ask you, what do you see from the cafeteria in the US? What are the unique design that they have in the US cafeteria? If you tell us that, well, I think the design is very unique because the color is in gray, and the other school has a color in blue. We don't, if you cannot really fully explain why you think the color is important, then that's like information. It's a factual information, yes, but it's not very significantly relevant to the topic that we're discussing about. So we also want a student to be a very good observer who can distinguish what are the relevant information. Secondly, when we think about think, we split it down into two dimensions. One is a logical inference. So you can clearly indicate how certain inference is derived from certain observations. And you can also combine your observation and your common sense, your experience, and form your inferences or interpretation. As long as it's very logical and everyone can understand it, it's good enough. And for the third dimension for critical evaluation, we want a student to start to build the habits that a lot of our assumption may not be perfect. We have to be a critical thinker to our own thinking. So think about what are other information you might need to verify your inferences. What are the shortcomings for my current assumptions? And can I decide what kind of verification method I need to use to substantiate my claim? So that's like the things we want the student to demonstrate in this round. And lastly, we start to evaluate wonder. And wonder, basically, we want them to propose an idea or solution or proposal, but we want that idea to be evidence-based. Meaning, if they want to propose something, tell us why do you propose it that way? Based on what kind of evidence or what kind of reasoning do you come up with this proposal? So that argument should be very logical, very easy to follow. And we also want them to start to think about what is the real problem that we are solving right now. So we might ask them some question like, what do you think is the basic function of cafeteria? What does this design has to meet? What kind of basic need that you have to fulfill? For example, we might say this cafeteria, the very basic purpose of a cafeteria is to serve the students or feed the students, basically giving them some food or give them a healthy nutrition. That could all be the answer that you can write in what we mean by identifying the fundamental needs. Basically, we want a student to think about the root of what a problem set, and you start to develop new approach or novel approach for that problem set. For example, if you want to serve the student, you want to provide the student sufficient nutrition, if that's the fundamental needs that you see, you might come up with new idea as delivery service or bento box. It doesn't have to be a buffet style cafeteria. It could be many different ideas. That's what we mean by go down to fundamental needs and then develop novel approach to fulfill the same objectives. And this proposal should also consider various things like stakeholders, short-term, mid-term impacts, side effects, return on investment, all these things. These are the things that we hope the student will also take into considerations. So as you can see, if the student can fulfill all four, they are pretty ready for a real case challenge. And since we know these are pretty hard as well, so we just want the student to experience it and start to build up their skills. So let's talk about the certificate. We mentioned there will be a gold, silver, bronze. How does that be graded? So basically, if the student can reach 5 points in each dimension, they will be, oh, sorry, I saw a typo, should be a gold level. If the students can reach 5 points in C and logical inference, but only got 4 in critical evaluation and evidence-based idea, they will get silver. And if they got all 4, they will get bronze. What we mean by 4 points, if like in terms of your outputs, if 80% of your output meets those criteria written in the rubric, you will get 5 points. If only like barely 20% of your outputs meet those criteria, you will only get 1 point. That's how it's being evaluated. So it's like depends on the range. So what does that mean? That means we don't expect you to be 100% correct. It's totally okay to do that. There is some error. It's fine. In the real case, we don't expect everyone to be perfect and error-free. Everyone might have some error, but it's fine as long as you have 80% of your performance demonstrating all that skill, you are amazing. So that's why we think as long as you can have 80% of your performance meeting those criteria, you'll get 5 points. Okay, that's pretty much it. And for the student, if they join the qualification challenge, but they do not get 4 points, for example, they get 3 points, what would they get? They will still get a participation certificate because we know this is a very hard journey. We still want to reward a student who gets through all this journey. So if they can complete the first round and the final round, we will still award them this participation certificates. So it's a very nice exercise. We just want to bring the student to hop on this journey and really try to cultivate their skill set. Okay, so it's time for the Q&As. You can scan the QR code here to join the Slido and put your question there. Here are some common questions, so I'm just going to answer this first. So are there any sample exercise I can practice with? Yes, there are. On the website, you can see, okay, on the website for students, there's some practice area. So go down here, you will see a lot of the simulation questions that that we have in previous few years. So you will see that first round questions, final round question, and real case questions. When they go in there, you will see the website, the simulation website, the guideline, and you also see some good quality answers in the past. So you can use that as a reference about how you can continuously improve your observation skills and thinking skills. Okay, second question. So how would I be notified if I advance to the final round and the real case challenge? We will send you the email notice, and especially for the real case challenge, if you do not want to join, we will pass your seat to the one down the line behind you. So we will try to reach you as possible as we can. So we might even call you to make sure that you do not want to join the real case challenge. Can I still receive a certificate if I cannot fully participate in the real case challenge? Yes. So if you can fully participate in the qualification challenge, you will still get that participation certificate. Does the written report to the real case challenge need to be handwritten? No, it doesn't have to be, but it has to be Chinese. Can you participate in the hackathon virtually? Sorry, it has to be an in-person participation. So you have to fly over to Taiwan for the 3-day hackathon. And this has to be self-arranged, but like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure in Singapore you have this scholarship that you can apply for to join the international challenge. So try to look up that information, and you can possibly also ask the school about more information and resources about international sponsorship. I think you'll be able to cover your hotel and flight. On the first day of hackathon, I don't want to take a day off from the school. Can I participate on the second day? I think this question is particularly for the English speaking students in Taiwan. So the answer is no. Everyone has to start participating from day one. So I know it's on Friday, but you have to participate in that 3 days. Okay, so now I will jump to the Slido. So how can we form teams for the real case challenge if we initially register individually? So if you register individually, we will form team for you. Basically, we will use some platform like Discord to coordinate the student who want to join the real case challenge, and we will form team from there. We'll explain more details when you join that session, because that's more like how you form teams step by step. We'll share with you more detail on that when you advance to real case challenge. Can we continue to participate in the real case challenge if any of our teammates fail to fully participate in hackathon? So it's up to you as long as your team still have 2 participants. So like I said earlier, this real case challenge is a team-based challenge, and every team has 3 students in it. If you only have 1 friend that wanted to leave the challenge, they don't want to continue anymore. If still have 2, you can still continue to join the hackathon. However, if you only have 1 student left in the team, then you won't be able to join the hackathon. How many people will be rewarded with gold, silver, bronze? So there's no limits to the number of certificates that being rewarded. As long as you hit the level, you will be granted with the certificate. Who are the judges for qualification and real case challenge? So for the qualification challenge, we have trained several teachers across different countries to become the Season Wonder judges to evaluate the qualification rounds. And for the real case challenge, it will be a mix of both a representative coming from the company, some professor from the university, education, some governor from the education bureau. So there will be a different people from the education world, from the corporate, from the industry, to be the judges there. So those are the judges for the real case challenge. Okay. So if you wanted to know more details or you wanted to have the full presentation slides, don't worry. So after this info session, we will send all this information together with this video to your email. We'll also have this video online on our website, so you can revisit it in case you wanted to fresh out your memory about a certain description. Hopefully this answered most people's questions. I'll just wait a little bit and see if anyone else want to ask any question. Okay. Yeah, so if you have further question, you can reach out to us anytime. So you can ask us questions through WhatsApp group, Line group, email, like all kinds of channel. Whenever you can reach out to us, feel free to ask us questions if you have further question after the info session. I'm really happy to see you all today. I'm also hoping to see more people to join us in the challenge. Thank you for coming, and thanks for all the organizing team for sharing and hosting this beautiful event. Thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you in the real challenge. Thanks, everyone. The session will stop here, and we will also stop the recording right now.